it's true that we do have clients producing results that are considered to be impossible all the time. I'm wondering if there's anybody here who's used the 7 steps before, and just the 7 steps successfully, that would want to share about it. Come on up. Let's have everyone who wants to share it come on up.
When I sat in his Why Your Life Is the Way It Is talk at the, it was the New Earth Expo in January that we went to in Burbank, and I just knew for some reason, I just felt his energy and resonated with the similar type of story, and I just felt something was here that I was going to learn. And in the past 6 months, I have erased the post-traumatic stress. I've erased 80% of the lingering pain, maybe 90% of the lingering pain in my body that was still left from the accident, the energy imprint of the accident. And having worked with Arnoux in the 7 Steps weekend, I erased some of that pain that day, on the first day of the weekend, which allowed me to tolerate, like up to that point, I could only sit in a chair for 20 minutes at a time. And then I was in so much pain, I had to get up and leave the room. When I erased that, the first exercise we did, I was able to sit in the room for the rest of the talk and just take it in and not be completely distracted by the pain. So that, if that's all it did, that would be worth the price of admission to me. It was almost 20 negative beliefs that I had about money. And at your suggestion, I used the 7 steps to erase all of them. And after they were all gone, I wrote a book. And here it is. I wrote this book in 2 weeks after all of my negative beliefs were erased. This is testament, this is physical evidence of what can be accomplished once we use this tool to get our stuff out of the way. Not everybody's an author, but everybody has a masterpiece inside of them. The 7 steps is a tool that anyone can use. So
you're trying to create something in your life, but there's some programming inside of you stopping you. No matter how hard you try, 20 years of trying to write a book, you can't break through that wall with your willpower. But if you can erase the programming, boom, in 3 days it's done.
With the 7 steps, it's just, I've had clients erase their rape trauma, get rid of their drug addictions. I had this one guy he said he spent over $100,000 on therapy, and with a few weeks with me, he erased all his trauma. He wakes up happy now. And me personally, I was suicidal and depressed since I was 12. And that's why I took all these seminars, and nothing's worked. But because of Arnoux, I think he saved my life, because I don't think I'll be alive now, because I'll probably be, without depression. But that's my testimonial, is I'm not depressed anymore.
Wow.
I got to clear a lot of stuff with my dad. Growing up, we had, my sisters and I had, a very controlling and verbally abusive dad. And going through all the 7 steps, really, it helped so much. I know that I had a lot of issues, and my sisters did too, that were just building up over time, and we were able to get through so much. Because before the weekend, we had a lot of issues with trying to communicate with him, and just a lot of things just weren't clicking. And afterwards, we cleared probably about 80% of the issues that we did have. And ever since then, like about every week or every 2 weeks, something new will present itself just between us in the relationship, and we're able to clear it like that with the 7 steps. And it's been really, really amazing, because it's not only us that are changing, my sisters and I, but we also notice changes in him. Like, he's becoming healthier as well, and he's changing his mindsets as well. And so it's been really quite an incredible process for us. So that was our big thing.
Well, your whole world is affected by your energy field. And when you clear things, people around you get impacted by that.
It's amazing.
Yeah?
This tool makes magic happen. Your life will change. I guarantee it. My life has changed. My life is so different from what it once was. It's unbelievable. I believe in miracles now. Anything's possible. And it's because of the 7 steps.
Thanks, Jonathan.
This guy right here. He's pretty cool.
Knew that there was something that drove me nuts that I couldn't heal on my own. Now, I'm trained in 20 different healing methods. I used to be a professional healer. You'd think I could do something about what I couldn't get rid of. But it was the method that made the difference. I had excruciating pain on my skull where I landed and throughout most of my spine. And then there was all the emotional stuff that went through having been attacked. The physical pain was the thing that was so debilitating. So when I came in here in February, I didn't know how I was going to do it. But the thing I most wanted to be free of was what this experience of physical pain did to me. And at that point in my life, I had just had enough. I was done with this thing being in the way in my life. And so I just kind of mentally said, I trust him, I'm going to put it all at stake, and whatever happens in the exercise, I have people in this room who love me, care about me, and will take care of me. And just went for it when that was my turn. But there's something about this, you erase stuff. Like once you erase it, it really is gone. I got up out of that chair knowing something was different. I didn't know how different it would be. But I knew down in my bones, okay, we just moved a 70-ton boulder off of me. I woke up the next morning, I had no physical pain, and I also had no fear of the physical pain. And that was just like, no, that stuff's gone. And came back in and they were just like, man, you're like 6 inches above the floor. I mean, you're just elevated at this point. I was just so thrilled to be done with the dang thing. Like, it truly is a new life. I had lived for 40 years with the terror of that physical pain, and that was gone. And what it's been like now is I can be a normal person. Like, I'm a normal person in a non-damaged body with a brain that works, and I have a whole life experience that supports that. There's no longer this thing that I think about all the time. So the physical pain being gone, man, that was worth everything that it took. But to not think about that event anymore, I would not have believed you if you had told me that was possible. It's one thing to be physically pain-free. It's another thing not to be haunted by that kind of event anymore. It's just gone.
Thank you so much. You guys, I can't thank this man enough. He has totally changed my life. When I first met Arnoux, I had come with this baggage for many years of getting divorced. Because in my family, there's no divorce. I come from a family with 5 kids and 2 adopted sisters, so 7 of us. And I'm the only one that's divorced. And so, raising my 2 kids, I felt really guilty about it. But to kind of fast forward, because I have a long story to tell, I'm actually best friends now with the second ex-wife and good friends with the third ex-wife, which what that means is, you know what, for me, it was all about the kids. You know, I had actually told my ex-husband, you know what, it's not about us anymore. We've both moved on. Let's just be really great parents to the kids. And he didn't like that I had said that. And he had said some explicitive, what do you call it? Bad words.
Expletives.
Bad words. Okay.
Yes.
And, but you know what, I just said, okay, whatever. But working with the 7 steps, I was able to fully embrace the fact that, you know what, it's about the kids. And so, like I said, the second ex-wife, who has also 2 kids with him, we got to be really great friends. In fact, we're best friends in terms of, trying to raise them together and everything. And then the third one, he didn't have kids with, but I'm good friends with her too. So
Wow.
I still wish him well, and I have like no ill feelings towards him. And in fact, I just found out his mom is very ill, but because of the course I took 2 weeks ago from you, I'm going to reach out and see if there's something that we can do for her.
Wow.
Yeah. So, most of the time people carry on these resentments towards their ex, and it's such a great feeling. You free yourself up when you can let that go and move on. So that was a big thing that I cleared. Another thing that is probably the most traumatic was I lost a son 6 years ago, and you can imagine, being a single mom raising my 2 kids, that just totally crushed me. And it was one of those things, if you ever were to say to yourself, I don't want to live anymore, that would be a reason. But I knew my son wouldn't want me to be that way. And since I cleared the feelings about that, I actually get signs from my son. My son's initials are EKG, and hearts show up in the most amazing way. I mean, I'm actually going to be in a session this next week writing a book, and I'm going to be writing a book about that. So I hope to be able to share that with you guys, and you guys can see these hearts that show up, and I know it has a lot to do with that. The third thing I want to talk about is health. So every year I go and I get my exam, my physical, and I'm 55 years old now, and I'm feeling like I'm in my 30s. And my doctor had said that it's like I am in my 30s because there's nothing in all the different tests that they take. There's nothing wrong. And then I kept saying to him, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" He goes, "Okay, now you know what? I was going to give you a 10, but now I'm going to give you a 9. I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because you keep questioning me." He goes, "You're perfect." And so I feel really good about that because at my age, I have a lot of friends my age or even younger that have high blood pressure and diabetes and all kinds of things going on, but it's through the foundation and the solutions and going through his courses. We had that health weekend, all kinds of great things that you learn. Your courses are great. But the one other thing I want to talk about, which I think is super important, is wealth. Now, just in October of last year, I took Arnoux's More Money course. You guys have to take that course. It totally transformed my life. I had a goal at the beginning of the year to make $60,000 a month. And when I told my friends that, I get together with a group of friends every January and we talk about our goals. And when I said I wanted to make $60,000 a month, one of my girlfriends that was sitting next to me elbowed me and she said, "You mean $60,000 a year?" I said, "No, a month." And she goes, "Now, how are you going to do that?" And they all chimed in. "Yeah, Gail, how are you going to do that?" I said, "You know what? I don't know, but I do know that, there's people that make that kind of money, and I want to do that because, money's not everything, but it sure helps to enable you to do a lot of great things." Okay? So I'm happy to say that I have reached that goal. And I'm not about the bling. I still wear my $16 watch from Target. Okay? but I was able to buy a Mercedes cash and to be able to live your life without having to have debt and without having to beg people. Because I'll tell you, after my son passed away, I went down into deep depression. I couldn't work, and a lot of people helped me, and so I've been able to pay them back. And now I'm able to use the money to be able to travel, to talk to people about health and wealth and just being everything that you can be that God intended us to be.
And even write a book.
I'm sorry?
And write a book.
And I'm going to write a book. Well, I'm going to write several books. So I have a lot of things, a lot of projects in mind because of this great, wonderful company that you've developed. Yes.
Me?
Yes, you. So thank you.
Let me just,
so much.
Congratulations, Gail. Let me just get this straight. So you used the 7 steps to release all the anger and whatever else from your divorce to the point that you were able to be friends with your ex-husband's ex-wives, both of them, just so you could be a good parent to the kids. You healed from the trauma of your son passing away. Using the 7 steps. You used the health courses to be in perfect health and get a 10 from your doctor and have nothing wrong with you at the age of 55 and be told you're like in your 30s. And then you used the 7 steps to make $60,000 a month.
And it's growing.
A few years back, I don't know. My husband and I started having a little bit of problems. He's very money oriented, but it always seems to be he's a little bit to the negative. He thought that I was socking away money to leave him, which led to him being a big jerk. So here we are fighting about the ugliest things that don't need to be fought about, but we didn't communicate. He's still angry with me, and I can't forgive him. I'm angry, and sometimes he says stuff after all the years of the anger he put towards me, where he says one dumb thing and I just back up. I want nothing to do with him. I hate him. I love him, but I'm not in love with him. All this crap. It's horrible. So even like last week, I said, I think you need to date other people because obviously you think I'm an asshole. So he says, "I can't believe you would say that." And I'm like, pfft. And he looked at me and goes, "I can't even believe you're not crying." I said, "Well, I have no more feelings. I don't have any more feelings." Well, yesterday apparently I found out I did. Then at the end of it, I felt sorry for him. I said, "I don't feel sorry for him." And at the end, I just got to the end of my rope where I let everything go. And I'm always afraid I'm going to make him mad all the time. He's always mad at me for something. So, and I'll send him a text message, "I love you," with this little smiley face, and he doesn't ever respond. And so whatever. I got to the point where I don't send text messages to him anymore or "I love yous." And So yesterday, about 15 minutes after I decided to clear him out and let it go, I get a text message. I'm going to sushi with the kids. And I said, great, have fun. And I sent some hearts. And he said, I love you too. Whoa.
Wow.
I even showed Beata. I said, is that from my husband? I put my glasses back on. I said, that's from my husband. And then, then he started bantering with me back and forth. Now, he doesn't normally give me compliments or anything like that. And I have to say, I probably should rewind. Through all of our arguing in this last ugly 7 years, we do still have a good sex life, which is really crazy to a lot of people. So then he sends me this cute little emoji, which he doesn't normally do, with this playful little sloth thing, tapping his fingers like he's waiting for me. I'm like, who is this? He's playing with me. He's flirting with me in a text message. This doesn't happen. So I said, okay, I'm on my way home. He says, me too, can't wait. I'm like, who is this? I still have to put my glasses on and check again. But anyway, I thought, I put it out there in the universe. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure how I was going to block his negativity. But when I got home, everything was good. I was so happy. He was happy. I was happy. And he kept asking me what we did. I thought, now I got to tell him I cleared him out, and he's going to be mad. He's always mad. And he just kind of rolled his eyes like, okay, I get it. I said, I cleared out that I'm not going to let your negativity affect me. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So this morning I'm getting ready to go. This guy never gives me a compliment. I mean, we've been together 30 years. And the last time he told me I was beautiful was the only time I could remember was the day he said he wanted a divorce. And we were going to, I had to shoot at the Honda Center in Anaheim. And I said, well, do you still want to go with me? And he goes, yeah. But, I just said I wanted a divorce. And I want to be friends. He said, there's no way. I said, okay. I said, well, do you still want to go to Honda Center with me tonight? And he's like, yeah. And I said, okay, but you have to be fun. I'm not going to walk on eggshells for you. So that night he had told me, I'm going and I'm dancing and singing in the car, I dance while I'm driving. And he says, he looks over at me and gives me a look. I said, I know I'm a dork. He's going to have to roll with this. And he looks at me and he goes, no, you're just so beautiful. Somebody's going to snatch you up. And I looked at him and I said, and he goes, what? And I said, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you because you've never told me that. And he said, why did you wait 30 years to say that to me? And he goes, I don't know. So, then this morning I'm getting ready. And he told me, he said, you look really nice. I'm like, wow. So I just kind of wanted to share that, even though I told him about the clearing out and everything, because I thought, this is really working. But then he couldn't help himself. And he goes, what are you getting dressed up for? Some dude? And I thought, normally that shit would send me backwards. Oh, I fucking hate you. But this morning, I just looked at him and I said, yeah, later. And he smiled and he said, well, I got my dirty clothes on because I'm going to go mow the lawn. And I said, okay, well, I'll see you later. And I thought, normally that would make me so angry that I would just lose it. And I think, that's it. I want a divorce. That's it. I'm done. I don't care. I hate him. And today I didn't feel that at all, which is the first time in 7 years that I haven't felt that. And the clearing out, like, it legitimately cleared out, which I didn't think was possible. But he was nice yesterday. But this morning when he said that, I thought, no. I thought, oh, here it comes. And it didn't. That ugly feeling that I normally feel is gone.
So, hi, my name is Wendy Pappas. I met Arnoux Goran, I think it was 2011, 2012. I believe I've been through most of the courses, if not all of them. Amazing. When I met him, I was extremely sick. The ticket was gifted to me by my mom. I, at the time, was itchy from head to toe. I didn't know what was really going on. Had several diagnoses. I have a brainstem herniation. It was swelling. We were living in toxic mold. Needless to say, my life was pretty much in ruins. This tool that you're going to learn today was actually, I think when I went through it, it was taught in the foundation course, which is the second course, which is absolutely amazing. It was the most impactful thing that I've ever done in my life, honestly. So this tool was in that course, and I had to have this tool, so I kept kind of following him until I was able to do that. And This tool has definitely changed the entire terrain of my life. I've been through so many things, but I've figured out all of my health challenges. Pretty much have been able to overcome those. I went through a divorce that was not so horrific because of the tool. My kids use it. My daughter, actually, the other day, she was like, "Mom, I use the 7 steps to help a friend go in the water at the beach." So I'm really excited for you guys. I love coming to the course because I love seeing all the amazing stories and success that's come out of this. I mean, I've literally erased emotional trauma from sexual abuse, from divorce from my parents, I mean, from everything. Just feeling unworthy, just that general feeling that we all kind of carry. And I feel like this is just such an amazing gift that you've been given. It's a huge opportunity, and I would really encourage you to take full grasp of it.
Thank you, Wendy. If I may, I've known Wendy a long time. I think it was 2010 that we met, or 2011, one of the two. I think 2010. So she was supposed to be dead. When we did the solution and the foundation course. That's how it used to be. And then I made the 7 steps course the new first course. So when she went through the training way back then, the 7 steps wasn't its own course. It was part of the foundation course, which was like a 10-day course spread out over 3 months. And at the end of that foundation 3-month program, there was a graduation party. And her mom came with like 10 of her family members. And her mom came up to me and said that she bought Wendy the ticket to come to the course because she couldn't afford more than 1 ticket. And that everyone had given up hope that she would live. That there was no doctor that gave her a chance. And her mom actually wrote a letter that she was going to raise Wendy's kids for her because they all expected her not to make it. That's where she was at. And her mom's telling me this, and I'm trying not to cry, of course. And here she is now, 8 years later, an independent businesswoman living in a fat 3-bedroom apartment right by the beach. You can smell the ocean. So I'm so proud of you, Wendy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good job.
Thanks.
She's in a good example of someone who actually did it.
You have to do it. I will say this. The night that I got that tool, I'll never forget it. I couldn't wait, like the soon as we learned that, I couldn't wait for the class to be over. Not that I wanted to be over, but I ran out to my car with a pad of paper and my pen, and I literally was in my car at 4 o'clock in the morning and went, "Oh shoot, I gotta be back here in 4 hours and I have to sleep." So I went home and slept. Yeah, amazing.
Yes, and then she even took it to a jail and worked with some of the someone she knew that was in jail to help him.
Who actually
So-
just recently got out and thanked me.
And he just got out and thanked you.
It completely transformed his life. The tool completely transformed his life. And you can do the tool, I believe, for other people when they are not able to do that. And that's what I would do. Just try to kind of get in touch with the similar things, like the Ho'oponopono sort of concept.
Right.
And yeah, I used to do it for my children. I mean, it's really literally the biggest gift. The Hertz rent-a-car guy, I helped him clear his fear of heights. I mean, just...
So these are tears of joy, first of all. I'm so happy to be here. So, hi. I did the 7 steps a year ago, July, so I recognize some of you. So I'm just going to share one thing that I got from the 7 steps because it's huge. So I had IBS really bad, and to give you an idea how bad it was, I went to the ER 29 times in 5 years. So I was going like every other month, and I live alone, and I live below a woman who would hear me scream for help for hours, sometimes when I went to the ER and sometimes when I didn't, and would never come. So it was a very lonely illness, and that I lived alone, and I had my dog who can do much. Thanks for telling your dog story.
Oh, you're welcome.
And it was just really, really painful. And I finally went to a naturopath and found out I had parasites and got rid of them, but I was only about 75% well, 70% well. And the rest of it was this emotional work. And it was, I've done the conversations with God. I've done all that stuff. I've done all the emotional work. It's like, enough already. How much do I have to cry? So I came to the 7 steps, and I wanted to know nothing about it because I didn't want to have any expectations. And when I got to the 7 steps, I decided I didn't want to be there. These weren't my people. How do I get out of here? What have I got myself into? And people were giving testimonials, and I was like, what you said, oh, that works for them, but it won't work for me. You just don't know my story. And so we broke up into the first time we did the 7 steps with somebody, and I'm telling her everything, and she's writing everything down, and all of a sudden I said, I'm not in control of my life. And as soon as I said that, it was like the Red Sea parted, and I went, well, who the hell put me on an airplane from Boulder, Colorado, brought me here, and who got me here on time, and who's sitting in my chair following instructions, and if I'm not in control of my life. So long story short, that was a huge moment for me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just who's in control of my life, it was every area of my life. So I've been lying to myself about being in control of my emotions, or being in control of my health, or being in control of my love life, or being in control of my finances, because I thought I wasn't in control. So I knew in that moment it was going to be really, really big, because I was taking the lid off all the different areas of my life, because this was the umbrella over everything.
Yeah.
And how my life is different now is I have no IBS. So I wake up every morning and I don't have pain, and I'm not in the bathroom all the time, and I'm not screaming for help, and I'm not going to the ER, and I don't take any medication, and I got on a plane and I came here, which I wouldn't have been able to do without coming late because I was in the bathroom all morning, or calling in and saying I'm going to miss one of the days or something like that. So I am IBS free after many, many years because of the 7 steps, and I couldn't be more grateful to you, because I don't know if any of you all can relate to this, but when you get part of your life back, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really selfish about it. So now that I have my health back, it's like, no, nothing is going to take it away from me. So yeah, I wrote a book called Relationship Rules, and because they have programming, I don't do anything to market it except have it on Amazon, and even at that, I don't do anything to push it on Amazon. But it was on. I worked for John Gray, the author of the Mars Venus books, back in his heyday, and he had it on his website. And last year, and after I did the 7 steps the year before, I had my biggest book sales since my book came out in 2007. So
all you did was clear things. You didn't do any marketing?
Didn't do any marketing.
You just cleared stuff. Then all of a sudden you got all these book sales.
Yeah, and I did your More Money course, and I don't worry about money anymore.
Oh, didn't you have a party with your family to celebrate not having IBS and not going to the hospital for a year?
I have a really good relationship with my ex-husband, and I even like his wife better. I think we kind of look alike, and we could be sisters, and I'd be her friend if she wouldn't marry to my ex-husband. Anyways, we all went out to what was the story?
Well, you celebrated a whole year.
I told them all I wanted to take them out for dinner or lunch to celebrate my 1-year anniversary of not going to the hospital, the ER, and they all thought that was weird. And I was so excited that when the bill came, I thought it said $86, and I gave the guy a $45 tip. It said $66.
Wow, that's great, Janice.
So, yeah.
You got lots of money, you can give it away.
I know, and it didn't even bother me. So.
Thank you for sharing. Amazing.
First of all, I like to say namaste to all of you.
Namaste.
I want to give a little background of ours. My daughter is a medical doctor, and my son is a bioengineer and a biofeedback specialist. And then, after they finishing medical school, she wanted to go, about 22 years ago. At that time, people didn't know what is the alternate medicine or functional medicine. She wanted to go into that field. And also they both knew the emotions have a lot to do for the sickness. So they wanted to learn mind-body techniques. So they went around the world and they learned from the top teachers. You name it, they know, every one of them. They did not miss anything. And also she went from the very famous doctors, like Dr. Schultz. You know Dr. Schultz?
Dr. Schultz. Yeah, Dr. Schultz.
He only sends to her, recommends her. So these two children had a lot of knowledge. And then one day, my daughter met Marty. And she came and told me, I met a wonderful lady, such a beautiful lady. And she told me, I have to take this course. And I told her, I said, my God, you learned everything. And what else is left now? And she said, no, Mommy, I have to. And I always listen to them because they don't say like that. So, okay. Then I said, well, we'll go. And then when we come, John, when we enter the place, it's a beautiful hotel, and John welcomes us such a full-heartedly. And that is the welcome when we enter. And there were about 100 people. They came from around the world and from all the different states, all age groups, from 20 to 80. All age groups, all different economic people, economically. And it was so wonderful. And this one young man is very, very poor. He came from long, I don't know how far. He didn't have a car. His friend gave him a car, and they gave him money, and he was really, really poor. And when he came, he was so depressed, so down, so depressed. And by the end of the third day, that man completely transformed. He was so happy, so optimistic, and he was just jumping with joy. And I couldn't believe the transformation. And lot of people. And so we went home, and the both children, they tried on their patients. Like Deepa gets people from around the world, and we get people all over the states. So they tried these 7 steps. I mean, with all their mind-body techniques they have, I mean, they are successful. But the 7-step modality, immediate change, immediate relief. And they have been using that continuously, and the success of the patients is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And I said, can it be like that? They would come home and tell me, of course, I'm always in the office too, and they come out and so happily, oh my God, this patient is wonderful today. And so I hear all the time. So thanks to Arnold.
I'm going to share you about my sister. I have a sister in Costa Rica. She's a lawyer. She's really tough. She's sometimes she has to be a judge, so she's always like a tiger. But she likes to come to United States, but she never come alone because she's afraid to go through the aduanas and all that kind of things. She's thinking, she thought that if she was really nervous, they are going to send her back. So this time, it's been like a year that she didn't come here, and she wanna come here many times. She said, but I know I'm really afraid to go there because I have to go through the aduanas, and I'm really afraid that they send me back. And she didn't wanna do it, and so I told her, so I can help you. You want it to remove the fear. So I started working with her, doing 7 steps about the fear. And she said, well, it's huge, it's big. And then I was talking with her, removing, and I told her how to remove the pain. At the end, when we finished, I asked her, how do you feel? And he said, well, I don't feel any more fear. And she was coming the next day when I did the 7 steps with her, because she was so afraid. As she said, I don't know, maybe I'm not going, maybe I'm going to cancel the plane, the ticket, or whatever. So she was ready to come, but she called me the night before that she was really afraid to come. And he said, well, I can help you. I want to do some work with you. And then she said, yes, okay. I did all the 7 steps. And then for almost half hour, 45 minutes, he canceled everything. He said, well, I don't have any more fear. I don't have anything. I mean, I feel like I can go there. I said, yeah, you can come here by yourself. She came by herself, and she went through the aduana. She spoke with the people there, and she didn't have any fear. She did it. She has to take a little train to go to one gate to another gate. She was so happy. I just with 7 steps, and I was thinking, how in a person, that lawyer, that he supposed that no fear for a lot of things, and she was that fear inside her, that just come to United States through the aduanas, and I did it. I helped her with 7 steps. So just it's something funny, but it's good. She's coming again probably in 2 months. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
I want to thank you, Arnoux, for the 7th step. It's just unbelievable. So, as my sister said, I'm what I call an advanced voice biofeedback specialist. It's much more advanced than regular biofeedback. It's called biocommunication. So I listen to the sound of someone's voice, and I can actually pick up the emotional imprints that are holding them back. So this goes really hand in hand with this work. So I would spend, each session's an hour, basically. And it might take me 2, sometimes 3 sessions. That's what I call the foundation for me when I do clients, to clear some limiting pattern they may have had their whole life. It'll permanently clear it. But then I suddenly thought, okay, why don't I add this into the mix, along with the biofeedback, the sound harmonics? Well, what would take maybe sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, clear a lifelong thing, I was doing it in 30 minutes. I was like, is this really real? It would take me 3 hours, did 30 minutes, and even 3 hours is pretty good to clear a lifelong thing. At least I thought it was good. But when I got to 30 minutes, I go, I had to clear my own disbelief that I actually cleared it. So I was like, wait a minute, I got to work on myself now. But it actually cleared it for them.
When I took Arnoux's class, and I've taken every imaginable class before, master's degree in spiritual psychology, agape practitioner, and I've been counseling others for over 20 years. When I took his class, I was somewhat reticent, thinking, oh yeah, right, negatively. Release them forever. So what I've discovered is that I'm on my 5th husband, by the way, and this is important to know because I don't give up on love. But my big problem is that I did not know how to balance my masculine and feminine, so I would be in my masculine most of the time, and that doesn't work with men, the one I picked anyway. And when I finally was able to get into my feminine with my new husband, I got into it before I met him, and it's been a wonderful, the best ever. But I had a conflict. I didn't know how to go out and do my work, which is very important. I have a destiny and a mission to teach people how to love. And I couldn't do that. I was in huge conflict. So I worked with Arnoux on stage with that, and I also work with Merit weekly, and I also work with a buddy weekly. So I'm working twice a week because I am driven to heal myself from these programs that have kept me back. And I am able now to get out there and have energy in meeting people, in speaking, and also able to balance with my husband and come home and be into the feminine. Now I'm working with him so he can switch into receiving me, go to my masculine and feminine. And he's willing to do the work too. It's wonderful. So, and all the clients I work with, I've been working with some for like several years. This particular magic that I do, Arnoux's work, helps them release faster than anything else I've ever done. Okay, so thank you, Arnoux.
Is it permanent?
Yes, it is. I've had a client who her mother died of cancer, and the pattern in her head, she was always having these symptoms, thinking that she was going to die of cancer, and her mother died early, and her birthday was coming up, and she was afraid. And when we did, and she had all this stuff that she could not get rid of. When we did this work, all of a sudden she says it lifted totally. She no longer has that fear, or that the voices in her head telling her that she's going to die.
Wow.
So thank you.
When I first learned the 7 steps with Arnoux with you in July of 15, I actually was cleared of my panic attacks in class during an exercise, which was super powerful, was wonderful, and it helped me to get clear-headed enough to where I could function. And then I started prioritizing, what in my life do I need to change? What in my life do I want to work on to really improve my life and get me into a different place? And the thing that I chose to work on was relationships. I had a very negative pattern with men. I grew up in a less than optimal environment at home, we'll just put it like that. And so I had a very, very bad example of a male figure at home as my father. And watching how their relationship went. They fought all the time too. There was never the peace or the harmony or the affection or that kind of feeling that you would like to see in a relationship. So that was my pattern, that's what I grew up with. So I decided to clear this pattern because it affected me in my life. Ex-fiance, ex-husband, ex-boyfriends, they're all very neglectful, dismissive, rude, disrespectful. They'd cheat on me, they'd lie to me, They disappear, sometimes for weeks or months at a time. The last one did that, so that was a new pattern I had to clear because I hadn't gone through that yet. And that was with the current boyfriend I was with when I was doing the 7-stepping. So it was so huge that when I began, I felt super overwhelmed. There was a ton to do. There was easily a couple thousand cancellations easily. There was a lot. So I did work with Arnoux a couple of months to help to guide me to clear everything in the order for the highest and best good, to get through it the most efficiently so I didn't get overwhelmed and burned out. And so that's what we did. And I cleared and cleared and cleared, and I cleared every night on my own. And it was a lot of work. It was hard work, but it was definitely worth it. So that relationship I was in, I was ready to end it. I was perfectly comfortable with ending it. When it ended, I didn't cry, I didn't freak out, I didn't feel, oh, here I am alone again in my 40s, all those things that would have come up before. And I felt so at peace, and I felt so empowered, and I felt great. It was really, really nice. And people started to treat me differently. And the people I would meet, and especially the men I would meet, were just totally different. A totally different class of person. It was like I got picked up and dropped into another planet. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And it really manifested very, very quickly. I met my current husband, Tim, who's here. He's absolutely amazing. And I would have tried all those things before, meditating and doing affirmations of creating my husband, creating he's this, he's this, he's this, and I had my ideal list. Why wasn't it coming forward? Well, I had to pull all of the negative programming out, so all those affirmations that I had made could actually take root and manifest, because those weeds had to get out of the way. They were choking out everything positive I was putting in. So I met him within a couple of months, and we're now married, and he's a wonderful, sweet, kind, respectful, loving, just wonderful guy. He's great. He's a beautiful being, and he does stick around through thick and thin, unlike my last ones.
My son-in-law is the person I used to hate more than anybody in the whole world. And that was 14 years ago, and I would call our relationship abusive. And I would say that he abused me in many, many different ways, and at the same time, I abused him back a lot. And because I had so much hate and so much resentment, and I thought he was coming between my daughter and I and our relationship and my 5 grandchildren that I have. So I cleared it. I cleared it. It's all gone. So there was this terrible, like he's a pain in the ass, okay? But he's not only a pain in the ass, my neck hurt bad. My neck hurt terribly, and my shoulders, all of the experience of my hate was here. So I feel free. I feel free of him and free of my anger about him and free of my hate. And my life is, I'm different. I'm different, I'm changed, I'm transformed. And I don't care if any of you believe me or not, because I know it's true. I know it's true. I'm true, I'm real, I'm free. I'm Diana, and I'm going places, and I'm in peace and love and joy, and nobody can take that away from me, especially him. Woo!
And what I wanted to work on was my finances, bringing money into me. And I have also been applying it to the kids that I work with. Not exactly what you do, but so they understand. And it's amazing to watch the transformation. Just a tiny bit of this piece of the work that he does is incredible. It works. And thank you.
Did you have a change in your finances? Mm-hmm. Did you have a change in your finances?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you want to share about that?
I found out the block goes back to my mother and the lack that we had in our life. I removed that lack from me, that emotion that I had, that emotional tie, and I had a position come up working with kids after school program, and it's been a blast.
I did a lot of clearing, and I have lost now 30 pounds.
All right.
But one of the biggest things that I had struggled with my entire life, I'd been married and divorced 3 times, and I always lose myself in what other people's goals and dreams are. And After I went to the 5-day, I was finally able to break the controls that my ex-husband still had over me. And these are all mental things from my past, from what I discovered, though, and also with some Merit's help, that a lot of it was ancestral from my paternal grandfather that I had never met. She was able to assist me with that, and realizing that the emotions and problems that he had were the same emotions that I identified coming up recurring in my life. And once I was able to sever that, and with the 7 steps and then the completion is actually the final thing that broke the control that my ex-husband had over me. We're still business partners, and we've been divorced for 9 years, but I still felt married and still felt controlled by him. And now I have this tremendous sense of freedom that I am now finally my own person, and no matter, he can't do or say anything to me. It's like, okay, well, you're entitled to think whatever you want. That's your thing. I don't care. And for me, it's so liberating, I can't even begin to tell you. So between the 7 steps and the ERTs and the completion, they made some major differences for me. I feel like I'm still a major work in progress. I'm happy. I'm probably one of the happiest people that most people know, because I truly am a very, very happy person. But I'm still getting happier every day.
All right.
And it's what's really interesting, I'm wearing these sunglasses because I realize that there's something I need to clear, something my eye does not want to see, and I realize all it is resistance. And having these tools and knowing what I know, anytime anything happens, I can identify it as an opportunity to remove another layer, another filter, more crap. And so it's like, hello, life is good. And I'll figure this one out too, and it'll leave me that much better.
All right.
So I'm extremely grateful to Arnoux.
There isn't any other work out there that's like this. I've done so much work and have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And there's nothing that touches what he does.
You, not just one, but many, many, many. But I just want to say one that it was really, really powerful for me. For a long, long time, I have a lot of issues with my wrist and a lot of pain. And sometimes I not even can hold things because I didn't have any strength in my hands. And then I was so frustrated always because I said, where does this pain come from? Why I feel like that? And also all my wrist and also my shoulder, my neck, without pain for years and years and years. And I went to the doctor and he told me, okay, do you know that happened to you? Do you have osteoarthritis? Do you know that people that they are at the hospital with the hands like this is what you're going to be at the end of your life? And that is what the doctor told me. And I said, I was so afraid of that. So I told my husband what this doctor told me, and he said, no, we don't have to believe that. It's everything that you buy to people, that is what happened to you. So and then when I came to do all these seminars with Arnoux, my life changed. So it's amazing how this thing can help you in your life. So this doctor wanted me to do a surgery because he told me this is the only way for you to feel good, to hold things, to do this like with clothes or whatever. It's just with surgery. And also my mom has the same problem. And then I came to do the seminar like maybe four years ago. And then I started working with Merit, doing the same 7 steps. And then finally, my root was my dad. And not like you think it's work or because my dad, he wasn't a really good dad to me. He treated me really bad when I was a child. He didn't want me. He wanted a boy, and then he has a lot of issues with me, and he did really wrong things with me. So when I started doing the 7 steps, because I had another issue, but Mary said, no, we have to work with the root of your problem, not with this problem, because your problem is not this one, it's the root that's inside. And then we start working with my dad. And then that happened when this doctor told me, you need a surgery in your wrist, and also you have to have an injection in your arm, because my pain sometimes it was so strong. I not even can work because it was all my mind was thinking about that pain and that pain. So I started working with the 7 steps with Mary, and then after I think 2 months with her twice a week, doing 7 steps about my dad, counseling and forgiving him, and doing counseling. They put good things in my mind about him. After 2 months, now I can say I don't have any pain. I can do open jars. I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do before. I was feeling like I was a handicap because I not even can hold anything. I was out of my job for almost 1 week. They sent me to physical therapy and things, and then I came back. It was the same thing, the same pain, same thing. After I did all these cancellations about my dad, all my pain is gone, right? And now all my pain is gone. I don't have any pain in my hands. My shoulders is good. It's everything was in my mind, holding that hate, holding that pain about my dad. And I can tell a lot of things, but I know I have a lot of people that they need maybe to share, but it's a lot of things. It's not just one that you can do with 7 steps. I did in my job. I changed my job just doing cancellations because I didn't want to do any more. I am an RDA dental assistant, hygienist, and I was doing a lot of things. And then I don't want to do it anymore. And it's 7 steps, and then finally they send me to do another things. It's amazing how things happen just when you change your environment around you and you change people. I just want to say thank you. I would not share more, but I know the time is...
Can you just tell one thing?
Yep.
Tell the story about the how you used to be afraid of elevators and escalators.
Oh, that is amazing. That I did it just... I don't know, I was afraid every time that I have to go to the malls. Some malls, they don't have elevators, but you have to go with the escalators, the electrical. And then I was afraid of, I don't know, I was afraid that when I was going down, I was going to fall down and something's going to happen with my clothes. And it was horrible. And also with the elevators. I couldn't be alone in any elevator because I was afraid that I couldn't believe that I couldn't not even breathe in the elevator when I was by myself. I had to go with somebody else because and even when I was with somebody else, I was so afraid, and that something happened, that I'm gonna die, that I couldn't even I'm telling you, in my own home, one day something was broken with my door, and I have a door in the other side of my apartment, and then I pulled the handle, and it came with my hand and said, oh my God, I'm here, I'm stuck in here. And I couldn't believe, I couldn't even breathe. And I couldn't think that I have another door that I can leave. I was feeling so afraid to be in that space. And then I did 7 steps, I did cancellations, and then one day I have to go to visit a dentist. They don't have any escalators, just elevator, and then I said, okay, I need to go by myself, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I have to take that appointment. After I did the cancellations, and then I went to the elevator to the 4th floor, and then I didn't feel anything, and I was alone. Nobody was there, nobody, because my appointment was at 6, and all the people there probably they were gone. So I went to the elevator, and then I didn't feel anything. And I was feeling so happy that I was like a 5 times I did it. Go up and down, up and down. It was so amazing. It there's a lot of things, small things, and that you don't even know that they can be bigger, but you can do it just with 7 steps. It's amazing. It changes your life. There's no price. There is no price for you to feel like the way that I'm feeling now with him, with Mary, that they are my saviors. But I don't have any word to say to them how thankful I am with them. Thank you so much.
When he shares about his life, and the reason that we come up here is because we're no different than anyone. We're all the same. It's just our blocks that make us different. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Right? So I'm no different than you, no different than Arnoux. We're all the same. So what's happening is he shared all the stuff he did so you could see that he had all these things that everyone told him what?
Couldn't be fixed.
Can't be fixed. So when someone tells you that you're terminal, it really means their ability to help you has terminated.
Yes. That's good.
That's what terminal means. Right? So you can think of all the grandmasters and avatars. What do they always say? Do you believe it? Well, if my belief system is what's blocking me from having the life I want, what do I need to change? My belief system, right? And if things happen, because I've read enough books where they say, what I want is right on the other side of the door. Okay, and I'll give you an example this year. My mother passed away last year, and my sister and I were in the process of selling her home. And I was clearing something about finances at the time, and we had been trying to sell this home. My mother passed away in April, and we sold the home in February. So it was February, I was clearing something with her, and the moment I cleared that picture, my sister sends me a text and says, the house closed. Now, I can say, what a coincidence, right? And I could say that, and all of you could say, wow. But I can tell you about the other 100 coincidences, and you could say, well, those are all coincidences too. And you can live your life like that. Do you know that excuses are affirmations? Right? It's what I'm saying all the time. And when we talk about meditation, how many of us meditate on things that we're worried about? And you think, I don't have time. Well, I have time to think of all the things I don't want.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I have time to think about all the things I don't want. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking about the things that I would like, and anything that comes up contrary to that, I use all these different tools. I mean, think about it. And if a tool that I use, all of a sudden, the next minute I get a text, am I going to go, well, I don't believe that? Or I can say, wow, this is really great. So we're up here, and all of us are sharing these things because they work. And I mean, even when Maria was talking about the fact about her manager, when she cleared that with the 7 steps, she sends me a text and says, this actually works.
So I have an intern. I'm a drug and alcohol counselor, and I have an intern who came to work the other day and said I'm going to quit smoking. I couldn't breathe. I was playing with my grandkids and I couldn't breathe, and so I'm going to quit smoking. And she always disappears on me, and I'm always like, where the heck is she? She's outside smoking. So she said, it's going to be horrible. I just know it's going to be horrible. It's going to be hard. I'm scared. All this stuff. And I said, okay. Later on, we'll do some work. She said, okay. So we got down to her feelings of fear and anxiety, and I just kept working with her until it was gone. So the next day she came in, and her face was different. She was brighter. She had no anxiety, and she didn't smoke that whole day.
Wow.
And then she didn't come in for 4 days. She had 1 cigarette that whole time.
Wow.
And she came back to work after those 4 days, and she has no anxiety, and she's a different person.
Wow.
It's amazing. Anyway, so I wanted to share an experience I had this past weekend. My dad was a violent drunk. He was a molester. He had all those issues, and I grew up with that. So I grew up with a lot of rage. But anyway, I've done a lot of work doing these, coming to these these seminars, and I've done a lot of work, and I've gotten rid of all of that stuff. So they had a little gay pride thing in Victorville, and so I went to it, and it was very small, and but they had a group of people that were Hugs from Mom. And these people go around to gay events and they hug people, because there are a lot of people who still, to this day, their parents, don't approve and they don't get hugs. So I'm with my friends, they're my straight friends, and so I said, I'm gonna go get some hugs. So I went to get hugs, and we were talking to all the women there, and there was a guy standing off to the, like behind them, and he had a t-shirt on and it said, Hugs from Dad. And I kept looking over there, and he was just standing there, and, just nobody was going to get hugs from him, and, and I kept noticing, he wasn't getting any business. So, and I'm in a good mood, and I feel, okay, so I might go get a dad hug. So I went over there, and I walked towards him, and he goes, hi. I said, hi. And I said, can I get a dad hug? He said, sure. That guy hugged me in a way that I've never been hugged before. And I'm a pretty good hugger, and so I was hugging him back. And I didn't realize what was happening at the time, but I've never been hugged like that before. So later on, when I had time to process, I'm 69 years old, and that's my first dad hug, my first real dad hug. And if I wasn't open, if I hadn't been doing this work and I wasn't open to receive, I would have missed that. And it's been amazing, the healing that went on. It's been amazing.
So Arnoux, I think my first class was with you in July of last year, and I did the 7 steps. I was married for 20 years and have 2 children, 2 adult children, and really didn't want to end my marriage. He wanted out, and I wasn't coming into a place of unconditional love and lovingly letting him go. I was in a place of conditional love and ego love and trying to force him to stay there and be something that he wasn't and he didn't want. And I didn't really understand that about myself, which I learned. And so when we were here in July, I was helping other people do their clearing, because I am an intuitive life coach. I am a spiritual reader. I've been a professional in doing this for 23 years. I'm trained with Corporate Coach U, who's a premier coaching school all over the world. And so I have the traditional corporate coaching background, but I don't want to work in the corporate world. And he's exactly right. You goal set, you bridge the gap, you do the goals. But it's so much more than that. It's about the resistance. So what it is we were working on some core stuff about my mother. And was somebody, actually I wasn't, somebody was working about some core stuff about their mom, and I was matching what I was helping them with. It was their stuff. It wasn't even mine, but I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so like my stuff too. So when I got in the car on the way home, I get this call from my ex-husband, who I don't speak to, and my children, my son had said to me, when I have a graduation and I have a marriage, you and Dad will not be in the same room with each other. In fact, I'm going to go and elope. And when I have my graduation, both of you are not invited. And that really broke my heart. That made me really look at my behavior for my own child to say that to me. And that's when I got the wake-up call to say, I need to take responsibility for my actions, because if I want to be part of my child's life, I need to find a way to be able to release all this anger and everything I have. So as we were clearing about this person's issue that matched mine, he called me, and I thought, do I take the call, do I not? Because normally it's not a positive call. But maybe something's happened to the kids, because they live in another state, and they live in the same place he lives. And so I took the call, and he tells me he had just broken up with his fiance. Now this was in November, because I had taken a repeat. So in July he had told me that he was getting married, and I handled it quite well. He didn't even tell me it came through the children. And so when he had called me and said, I broke up with my fiance, I'm thinking, you've got a lot of nerve to be calling me to tell me that you broke up with your fiance. Then he goes, can you do a reading for me? And I'm like, so I'm looking inside, waiting for this anger to come up, because I'm thinking, you broke up with a fiance and you're calling me, of all people, and then want to know of reading if you guys are going to get back together? No anger. It was gone. I have been working on it for years, and I was stunned. And I kept looking and looking. I'm like, something's not right. Because you kind of get addicted to the negativity, but there's such positivity and such unconditional love for him. And I'm like, sure, I'll be happy to look at it for you. I mean, what kind of testimonial is that for me to do a reading for my ex-husband for the fiance that just he broke up with? I mean, seriously. And so I'm like, I'll look at it for you. Okay, this is it. You guys will split up for about, 3 weeks, 3 months. You guys will work it out. By the way, they're back together. And I'm happy for him. I'm really, really, truly, I never thought that I would ever have that kind of happiness for him. But in that process, as he was going through that, he actually asked me back. I never thought in a million years that I would hear those words. Those are words that I always wanted to hear, that he wanted me back, because I try to force him to stay in that relationship and conditionally love me instead of giving him unconditional love for him to be himself and me to be my authentic self, and which of course I'm taking that class as well, and accept each other. And this is where we're at. So I told him no. I really went in my heart and looked and said, is this the right thing for me? Do I go back? The man I love, the father of my children. And I said no. And he was stunned, I guess. I don't know. I try to be gentle. And I told the kids, of course we'll have Thanksgiving together. And I said, all the times that he wanted to spend holidays with the children, I said, you're welcome to come, but your spouse, your ex-fiance, your girlfriend, whoever, they can't be in my house with my children. I wasn't having it. And this time I said, let's have Thanksgiving together. Let's be with your fiance. Let's be with your kids. Let's be one big happy family. I never thought in a million years that I would ever say that. Because when we broke up, he said, well, this is how it's going to be. You'll just at Christmas, we'll be there with the kids, and I'll have my significant other, and you'll have your significant other, and we'll be one big happy family. And I said, are you delusional? When he said, I want my divorce. Let me go. So I went from that space to let's be one big happy family, and you can love whoever you want to love, and he's a better man with her than he was with me. He's a wonderful guy. And the kids are like, now I see why you fell in love with him. So that's the positive and a personal, but I also have that I work with my clients, and my clients have seen real success. So I've showed them how to clear, and I ask them to clear between sessions, and then I help them find their negative programming, which is really, they see it, but I give them confirmation. So I've shared this with Arnoux. I've taken his money class as well, and I had a client who was trying to come up with some cash, and she didn't know how to do that. So we were looking, and I taught her how to clear some programming. And then right after that, I don't know if you remember the testimony, you've heard so many, about how she came up with unexpected income. She rented out some office spaces, literally the next week after our session. I can't remember if it was a couple days or next week after that. And she just generated, I think, $6,000 additional, $6,000 a month. So that was pretty incredible. So she's still working with me. She's been with me about 1.5 years. And we were talking, and she had said, I want $4,000 to finish this project, and move on to the next one. So we're doing the traditional goal setting, but I also do energy work, and then she knows that she's clearing between sessions, and so we're looking at what she needs to clear. 6 days later, someone comes in and says, so what's your life goals? What would you like to do? And they're just chatting. She doesn't know this person. She just met him. And she told him, I would like $4,000, and I'll finish this project and go on to the next. The person turned around and handed her $4,000. 6 days after that session. That's amazing.
It is.
So,
it is.
yes.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge what an amazing transformation in her family, right? I mean, so touching. You're going to make me cry. So beautiful. So it sounds like your client had one session with you. She cleared some stuff on her own that you helped her identify,
yes,
using the 7 steps to reprogramming yourself.
Yes.
Then created a new income of $6,000 a month within a week.
Yes.
And in a different session, she created $4,000.
Consistent every month, $6,000 additional income.
And then one other session, you showed her what to clear, and then she created a $4,000 instant income so she could finish her project and move on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
yes.
with your clients.
This is with my clients. Yeah.
I can say that I was able to overcome the blockages connected to the abduction, the blockages connected to predator and narcissistic attachment, because then you have Stockholm Syndrome. And if anyone understands that, you love your captor. It's very, very heavy pain to maneuver through. And the more you clear, then you have pictures that must be removed. They're still sitting there with a vibration. That was part of what assisted me to move through and shift from the abduction, but also the parasitic relationships, and also being my own parasite. So, with that being said, I encourage you to take this course. It also is one of the tools, effective tools, that assisted me in getting over the pain or the story that was in my fingers. And in that process, I was able to finish my first written book. So I published my first book this year. Yes, 7 Days to Blissful Abundance, Mastering the Inner You.
All right.
So with that, this program cannot not be ignored. It is so effective. I'm very, very grateful. Because I have my power. Because I get to see where my power is. That's what this does. Shows you how powerful you are. It is that voice inside that allows you to know that you're strong. So that right there, that's your ticket home.
And I was able to let go of a lot of fear. I have a 7-year-old. I had this fear that he was going to be taken away from me for whatever reason. It didn't make sense in this lifetime now. It's like that when you actually are logical and think about that, it's not going to happen. But I still had that fear and that panic to the point where, I mean, I still homeschool him for different reasons, but I would homeschool him. I didn't want him to even go to grandma's house or nothing. And when I was pregnant, I held my breath until he was literally in my arms because I kept thinking I was going to lose him. And I thought, why do I have this fear? I've never had that fear before. But I was able to clear that. I had a lot of issues with my dad, and I manifested them into this lifetime, not just with my dad, but with a partner that I was with. And again, fear. Why am I keep repeating this fear? Why are these patterns? But I was able to look at all of that through these tools. And I have this whole invisible toolbox that a couple of people have talked about, and it's very empowering. It's given me so much freedom, and I'm not even done yet. Like I said, I still have more to go, and it's so exciting. So I really am just grateful for all of these tools because it's allowing me to be who I really am inside, that I thought was maybe possible, but because of that fear, I was too afraid to find out.
You're not afraid of losing your son anymore, right? That's all gone?
Oh, no.
That's all gone?
Yeah, and that first 5 day that we were there was the first time I had ever left him, besides coming to the 7-step for 3 days, and I was an emotional wreck before I got there. But towards the end of it, it was like, oh, okay, I'm good. And now I'm like, okay, you can go. You can go to grandma's. You can do whatever you want to do. You know, he's still 7, so there's within reason. But I'm okay. I'm not checking my phone every 2 seconds, and, you know, it's
wow.
really good.
And I can only imagine what that's like for your son, too. For mom not to be in fear all the time?
Mm-hmm. He had a lot of fear because I had that fear.
Right.
So just like you were saying, you know, it goes along that pattern, and you'll learn way more about it, obviously, so I don't want to, again, give away too much. But I see him stepping into his identity and becoming more of an individual, because I'm clearing all this stuff for myself. It's clearing it for him too, so he doesn't have to live with that fear.
Took this class many years ago, maybe 6-7 years in the beginning. Well, anyway, one of the biggest things that actually stuck with me was I had this issue with my parent, my dad. We had this we just didn't get along. He was abusive, this and that. But anyway, so using the 7 steps, I was able to come to terms with and develop a relationship with him. So today, my dad's he's suffering end-stage heart disease. So actually he's in the hospitals and he's on his way out. But we have this relationship now to the point where it's at peace, and I'm all right with knowing that he's leaving, going to leave soon, this and that. And he seemed like he's okay with it. And just through this program, this and that, I was able to deal with him, all the issues, this and that. And I was saying to myself, okay, I know he's not going to be here too long. Do I have any issues unsolved? I thought about it, and I really don't.
Thank you all for all your love and support, first of all. Thank you for the work that you bring out into the world. It's amazing. And I've done so much other work, and maybe I wouldn't get this work as deeply if I hadn't done all the other stuff that I've done. But what I can say is that given what I'm dealing with right now with my brother, I would not be where I am right now without this work. I have cleared so much stuff. I just know that I would not be functioning right now if it weren't for this work.
And the process has been incredible for each person that I've taught the process to, and they've said it's been incredibly life-changing for them. So I think I've already talked about one. She increased her business and had that $6,000 income monthly, then $4,000 in 6 days by a complete stranger, who, by the way, helped her with the project. And then another person had an issue where she was having repeating patterns and attracting men just like her father. So when we did the process, and I have them call me the next morning or text me and say, did you read your trigger statement, and did the same feeling come up, or what feeling came up? Is it stronger or is it less? So she texts me and she goes, I did this wrong. She goes, I'm infuriated, I'm furious, I'm enraged. I said, no, you did it right. That means that you've unearthed all these feelings that you've suppressed all these years that you haven't addressed. And then she called me again and she goes, well, I've done something wrong, it's completely neutral. And I said, no, you did it right. You've now worked through that. And so in turn, what happened was is she had this real heart-to-heart with her father, and he told her some private things from the past. And the guys she was dating had the same situation, same story. And so she has seen the pattern, how she picked somebody that she didn't know anything about her father's past in the situation, and her boyfriend had the same situation. So as she's rising now and raising her vibration and healing herself, because obviously it comes from her, I'm just facilitating, he's choosing not to shift. And now she's released him to allow herself to continue the growth and then bring a healthier relationship in.
So before I was led to Arnoux, I had a lot of physical issues, a lot like major MS, pituitary disease, candida, all kinds of stuff. And I healed it with nutrition, meditation. I started getting symptoms back from candida. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of perfect, because then I can put this stuff to the test, you know? So we'd learned muscle testing, and I was getting like an itch in my armpit and some other little tiny issues. And a fear was manifesting because my husband doesn't take care of himself. He eats really, really bad. So I thought he was going to give it back to me. And I literally manifested that in my body. So I went home, cleared the picture, or went to my aunt's. The next morning I woke up and it was gone. And so I still didn't believe it. I didn't believe it, but we did, on the last day, I kind of still thought like maybe I need supplements for my candida. And Arnoux tested me to see what supplements, but I asked my body if I had candida, and I didn't. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So,
It was gone already.
yeah, like it literally was gone. So, I went home and I ate a crap because I still didn't believe it, and it's still gone. Like, just from one picture. So I couldn't, like I had hopped on a cleanse and nutrition and everything prior. So I was like, why is this still here? You know, what's going on? So literally this tool, like in one day, overnight, it cleared all the symptoms. It was a picture that I had manifested. So it works.
I took this course a little over a year and a half ago, and I walked into here and I was just like, expecting something but didn't know what I was looking for. And so in my first day of the course, there was something I worked on, and I tried to, it was a betrayal situation, and I was just like, you know what, I've got to try to work on bringing this back, this feeling, this emotional feeling. And for the whole time I was going through this course over 3 days, I could not bring it back. So that was the rock. That was something that really solidified my belief in what Arnoux has taught and what we're learning here today, right? And so through that, there was some other things that were going on. I had no vision. Typically, I always have vision for things I have going on in my life, you know, so you always have vision, right? And I was at the gym one day talking with a friend, and we were just discussing vision. I said, I have no vision, nothing. And so this course came up about 3 months later. And so after I took the course that weekend, so I had some great breakthroughs. I was in the gym on a Wednesday night, and all of a sudden I just started getting fresh download. Boom, it was like the gates just opened up, the floodgates of all these amazing ideas and vision. And so one of the ideas and the things that came about were this. This is a product called Affirmations. And so what I got is I got a download for creating a water company. And through that water company, it was called Affirmations. So through that process, I started doing research on affirmations, vibration, frequency, and things like that. And so this is what has came to fruition here. So we got the final products into production on New Year's Eve. And so I just wanted to testify that if it wasn't for Arnoux's program, I wouldn't be standing here talking today. Things have shifted radically. I've had other opportunities. This is just one of them, but there's been a plethora of projects, okay? And so I just want to encourage each and every one of you, if there's any doubt or if there's any discouragement, you're going to see a shift this week.
One of my very best friends did the 7-step course, the last one. She was very hesitant to even enroll, and she enrolled, and she is just like over the moon excited. She wants to do everything. So she texted me, and it sounded kind of urgent that she wanted me to help her clear something. And so it was about a friend. And so we went through the process, and I felt it leave her. At the same time, she said, I think it's gone. And I said, it is gone. And so sitting here today, I was thinking about friends that have just like abandoned me or left me with I never knew the reason. I always wanted to know the reason. And I even wrote a letter to one of them, and she never responded. You know, I said, whatever it was I did or said, you know, and she didn't respond. So sitting here today, I was thinking about those friends, and I was thinking, I don't even have that anymore. It's just like, oh, well, it's not important. It doesn't matter. So anyway, I was asking Arnoux about if you can clear your own when you help other people clear theirs, and he said yes.
Was once I got home and started thinking and chewing on all that had happened. Yesterday, I realized how powerful I was to control my own life. I hadn't thought about it before. I'd just kind of gone along with things that come up and handled things that come up. And then yesterday, I thought about things that I had planned to do that I didn't want to do. But I felt this compulsion to do it because it was the right thing to do, the good thing to do. And so I was laying in bed last night thinking, all this shit that I don't really want to do, but I feel like I'm supposed to do it. I realized I had the power now to do what I wanted to do and feel good about it.
Yes.
I didn't feel compelled to do anything anymore. I realized I could 7-step. I could 2-step this stuff.
All right, yeah.
I could actually 2-step and be done. So I slept well. It was a very powerful way to wake up. Lonnie and I told her last, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. I woke up this morning. I said I'm going to go to the gym. And I said, but if I go to the gym, I'm going to be late. Wow, that's not a good idea. I thought, well, what can I use this time? So I watched a couple of videos from Arnoux's website. I started feeling better about the decision I had made. And I walked out of the house in a very energetically powerful place. Very happy with how I had decided and chosen to live my life now. So I know this is only the third day.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I feel like I have a new life ahead of me. I feel like now I have at least a tool that I can use to forgive and relieve myself of obligations in life that I don't have any interest in, like what you were sharing this morning. And I feel like now I've gotten the blocks out of the way for things to come into my life that I've always wanted, but that had been handicapping by those programs that I'd been willing to allow to run uninhibited.
Mm.
So now I have the power to change those programs that don't work for me and that I knew didn't work, but I didn't realize they were programs, even with all those other courses. And I'd been a seminar junkie like most of us for many, many years. So I knew all this stuff, but didn't know what to do with it.
Excellent.
Really didn't know. But this weekend, I learned shortcuts, not just what to do, but shortcuts to get it done. And that made me feel powerful again. I'm in control of my life. And I know that as the years go on, I'll be even in more control of it and live a more powerful life. And I wish I had known it earlier. I'm so thankful I know it now.
I got to go back to my ancestors and clear sexual abuse in my family, clear that cycle on both sides. And I never would have dreamed that I'd be able to do that. And that's just an example of the things that we did through that course. There's so many other, each modality, each thing that different thing that Arnoux teaches us takes us to a whole new level of ways to heal. And I have, I when I first started coming to these things, I used to share that I'm a hard ass, and my clients call me Sarge. And then I got promoted to Master Sergeant. And I was joking. One of my clients was sharing that she had been at a meeting and had shared that she was graduating, and they were saying, "Oh, you're over there with General Tina," and I said, "Whoa, I got promoted," but again. But the thing is that the person that said that was an old client from before that hasn't seen me and hasn't seen the change. And the clients that were in that room that day that heard her say that were like, what are they talking about? Because I'm not the same person. And the growth I lived with rage for so much of my life. And to be able to just be calm and be at peace is something I never thought I'd have. I'm telling you, it's amazing and it's well worth it.
I just cleared the most amazing thing with this daughter that we adopted. I have always felt like I had to rescue her. And I've cleared a ton of stuff financially, and I just got myself in another big mess with her because I rescued her again. And This is like a $9,000 rescue. And all of a sudden I'm just going, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. This is ridiculous, but I feel like I have to do this for her because I feel sorry for her, or, you know. But at any rate, I cleared it, and then I checked it the next day. Well, John and I had to go somewhere and come back down the hill for something, and so we were stopping in Lowe's. And, you know, I walked by you know those big displays that they have all those credit card things and gift cards and stuff? Every time, every store I have ever walked in and seen one of those, I've wanted to go over there, and sometimes I do and sometimes I stop myself, but it was always resistance. Those things were like a magnet just sucking me in, wanting to make me buy one of those cards to mail to her right away. And I was, you know, like put $100 on it or whatever, and put it in the mail and, you know, rescue her once again, right? So I walked by the big display, and I got past it, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, I just walked by that display. And I didn't get sucked in. And I was so excited because I saved myself $100. Plus, I really recognized that I didn't feel like I needed to rescue her and do it again. Anyways, I'm very excited. Okay, well, I'm a Reiki master teacher, NLP master, hypnotherapy master, oh geez. What? Oh, Akashic Records.
Life coach.
Life coach. What do you do with the accessing the bars?
Access consciousness.
Yeah. Do that.
Matrix energetics.
Yeah, matrix energetics.
EFT tapping.
EFT tapping.
Sedona method.
Oh yeah, all of the above. Okay. Oh gosh, Tony Robbins. You know, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy.
And all this.
Arnoux's the best. Just forget about the other ones. Arnoux, seriously, okay? We met Arnoux a year ago in February, and we were desperate. We had, once again, remember, I just told you I just rescued my daughter again for the $9,000. Well, we had been rescuing her for years, and a number of other people. And so what happened is we got ourselves into quite a financial pickle. And we were, you know, maxed out on our credit cards because we would rescue all these people and we would charge things on our card to go help somebody else out. Well, we had gotten ourselves in a very gigantuous mess. So by the time we met Arnoux, we thought, we went to hear his little 2-hour presentation, and at the end, we didn't even have $25, you guys. So meanwhile, and we just thought, okay, somehow we're going to make it. You know, we're going to turn things around because this guy must know. Somehow in my gut, I knew that he knew something that I did not know, and I wanted to know what that was. So we come to the 7-step course in March, okay? And I did a bunch of clearing stuff the first couple of days. Well, I ended up working with Merritt. So I got to work with Merritt, and she took me through this process that I had a huge issue regarding my mother, and this was connected to all this financial stuff. So at any rate, fast forward, we get home from the workshop. On Tuesday, we go to the post office and we pick up this letter, and there's this letter that says we won this appeal that had been going on since 2012. We had given up totally. And we were going to get this money that we had been trying to fight for, that we were then told that we were never going to get. Well, Friday we got a check for almost $100,000. It totally bailed us out. We paid off all the credit cards. Here we are, and we love him. We have had huge transformation.
So I'm really very fortunate to meet Arnoux. I think I met you 2015?
Yeah, 2015 when you took the 7-step course.
Oh yeah, that's when I took the course. But then I knew him before from another, in the seminar world. I was going through a lot of different training, especially in NLP, and so I see him around, you know, and I always wanted to learn about health, but at that time I didn't really know that Arnoux was doing this thing called the 7-step. I didn't even know what the 7-step was. But then I just came to an introduction class, and then it was really cool because, like, you were talking about
like your emotions can be imprinted from your, not just from like from you, but also from your parents, and then your grandparents, and then like there's an ancestral thing. And so for me, it was like growing up, I was like, I have a dad who's very abusive, and because he came from war, so he goes his head is like, it's just like PTSD, depression, and then so when I was like, and I had that, growing up as well too. So, but I'm so thankful that I met Arnoux and learned the 7 steps, because, man, like, it's without this course, I don't think I'll be here. Like, really, like, you know what I mean? Like, just it was very challenging, just like growing up in life, because I have so much like depression and just anger, and I got that from my dad, and not just from my dad, also from like the lineage of my ancestry. Like I'm from Cambodia, and my parents, like our family, all they knew was just war, and but it's like I'm so glad, because I learned the 7 steps, and I'm so glad I'm like good friends with Arnoux and Merritt. I work with Merritt. She's an awesome coach. You guys, if you haven't got a chance to work with Merritt's awesome. And also now my sister, Sahaj, right there. She's also a really good coach as well too. So I've really got like these awesome people to really help me.
Have you ever worked with any other coaches before?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you know from what you speak.
Yeah, I know from what I speak. And let me tell you, you guys, it doesn't take that long to be an awesome coach. If you just take this step, the 7 step, learn it on yourself, and I guarantee you're going to learn, like, when you change, the people around you, they're going to be influenced by that, and then they're going to want to know, how did you change? And then you can easily, it's a step, the 7 step, you're going to learn, it's going to be easy, and but you got to do the work. So the real results come from doing the work. So I'm really thankful. So thank you.
So last year we went to the 7 steps training, and it was just embarking on evolving the career that I already had started in 2012. So I was ordained as a minister in 1990, so I did a lot of my work volunteer, and could not get out of my head the transition that it was okay to be paid for my work, because that is the constant interjection from a lot of spiritualists, that you can't be paid for your work because that's God's work. And so I had to really unwind a lot of that teaching. That was really difficult. However, that 7-step process that everyone is learning was like a godsend for me. So from that point of learning the 7 steps, then it was a way that I could integrate with my students. And I understood that if I had to pay to learn a technique and then get exchange for value, just an exchange of energy, then I could use that sort of thinking to justify the same energy exchange between me and my clients. So then I didn't feel bad, because if I had to exchange energy, then it was okay for them to exchange energy. And in that process, I went from having 3 clients to 65 students. One of the young ladies that I assisted had been molested since she was 3 years old, till she was 12. And then she tried to tell her parents, and her parents didn't believe her. It wasn't her parents that was doing it, it was someone in the family. And so she had the emotion caught in her body, and so she was taking all kinds of psychopathic drugs and then whatever else, because of her body just began to develop these ailments to cope with the feeling of not being believed. So she was in a home. Finally, at 17 years old, she's out of the home. She decides, or like a care facility, she decides to come back home. Parents still won't believe her, but the perpetrators are still in the house. So she decides to go on her own and get her job, and she was carrying 3 jobs just so that she could not live at home. So when I met her, she was really, I mean, just a frazzled, just a fragile soul. And she says it was her last ditch effort. And so we sat with her, I sat with her and shared with her the technique, the 7 steps. And she made it clear her this molestation, trauma, it took us an hour because of all the stuff that had come out. It was just constant. It almost sounded like chanting because she was literally pulling it all out. About an hour, 15 minutes. So let me just tell you what happened 3 days later. Parents call her unprovoked and say, we believe you. 24 hours from that, the person that was molesting her called and asked for forgiveness and wanted to go to the family and confess that he had done it. Then 48 hours from that, she became a death doula. But she didn't have the finances to complete the series for the class. And she was talking to just someone about what she was doing. And the person had been watching her on like her posts, because she would post different things on Facebook, had been watching her post these different things and how she was feeling. And how she says, I feel clear, I can breathe. So by this time, the person's so moved, and she says, well, now I want to be a death doula. And so I have a last class I'm about to take. The person got out their checkbook and wrote the check for her class, unprovoked. She called me back and she says, what is this? Why is this happening? And I was going to clear the vibration. So now everything that you were pushing away because you wanted it, but there was something inside you that was so painful, it was pushing you away, now it can come to you without any, blockage. And so here's where this payment thing comes in. She missed her payment. And at first I just like, oh, well, she'll pay it. This is where this clearing had to happen for me. So when you help other people, you're still working through some of your stuff. So she missed another payment. And so I was like, oh, she missed a payment. And I said, no. So I went to her and I said, hey, sweetheart, your payment needs to be taken care of. And she's like, oh, I thought that was going to be all wiped away. And so then I realized, well, that was something in me that made her feel a specific sort of way. And I didn't know what it was. At that moment, I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was something in me that felt bad for charging her in this healing process, when really it was, this thing changed the rest of her life, and there was an exchange that needed to happen. When I cleared that thing, I had people referring people to me, saying, I heard you help someone so-and-so and so-and-so. How much do I need? I'll figure it out. And that's how I started getting the client. Now it was, I'll figure out how I'm going to pay it. I'll just figure it out. So in the process, how I did that was going to one of Arnoux's courses about money and the belief around money, my money stories. You have to release whatever is keeping you from raising into another frequency. And so those beliefs do need this. They're caught up in these stories that we don't even realize that circle around money. And so what he's about to share with you is definitely going to be very empowering, because it puts you on another level of current activity so that you can receive.
I don't know, we rolled along and everything was fine, and then there was one moment when Diana says, so what about last night's meal and tonight's? Can you get these two? I go, it just stopped me, and the whole house of cards just fell down. And I went into that dark space emotion of victimhood or whatever it is, and I experienced all of that heaviness and stuckness, and I just, the phrase that I used was, I just feel like I fell off the mountain. And it devolved. We drove home. I couldn't even look at her. As high as I was during the afternoon yesterday, and where I found myself going afterwards, it was that whole yin-yang effect, the bungee jump. And wow, it was terrible. And so, of course, Diana says, well, how about using the tools glide? I go, no. I just really wanted to, like, stay in my crap.
That's great.
Okay, where's my paper? And I started in on this, and in 5 minutes or less, there was this melting. I didn't feel like magically, yeah, I did feel magically transformed. Yeah. We just made peace. We made happy. I went to sleep. I slept easily. I slept really well and deeply. And I'm just still amazed by this.
Came here and was told, here's this history, was told I couldn't do anything I wanted to do after I got out of high school. I couldn't go to college because I wasn't smart enough. By my guidance counselor, I couldn't do what I wanted to do as a career because I wasn't smart enough. And then I wanted to be a buyer. That's what I wanted to do when I was in high school, but I wasn't smart enough. I kind of said, okay, whatever, I'm going to go do and just go to work because that's what I can do. And I went to work, and 15 years later, I was the director of purchasing for a $1 billion company. But I couldn't get past that ceiling because I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have a degree. I wasn't enough. And the job was literally sucking the life out of me, so I quit. And I just plunged through the world going, I'm just going to put a stake in the ground and crawl my way up the hole and get out of this place that I'm at. And I come into here, and it's like I can finally I feel like I've been pushing this rock up a hill in front of me, and I can let it go. And I'm so thrilled. And it was interesting because a while ago when you were talking, I've been sitting here now. I've had this resistance in my arm that doctors can't tell me what's wrong. I apparently blew out my elbow without any repetition of anything to create that blowout, just so you know. And so I've done so many classes, I can't even tell you, of nutrition and from one extreme to the other, Qigong, Bach flowers, herbology. I got like 27 certifications in nutritional type classes, working on my ND, and I still haven't been able to unblock my arm, but I will tell you I don't have any pain, right, until today. And I feel like I have a knife in my arm. And so I walked up to Arnoux, thank you, and said, can you tell me what's going on, because I know that this is something that is happening right now. And he said, what goals have you set? So I didn't really set any goals, but I'm also dyslexic, and one of my things that I cleared yesterday was dyslexia, and one of the things that I felt that I am supposed to do is to write a book. And so I said yesterday, I'm going to write a book. And that I asked him, and he said, well, the only way to know if that's really what it is, and it immediately cleared it. I was like, okay. I am so grateful to be here. And I just got a text message from my friend that said, I'm sick and tired. Let me see if I can get this right. I'm sick and tired of what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. And I'm so relieved that when I get out of this meeting today that I can call him and tell him there's an answer.
Great. Yes.
There's an answer. Because I have a message, and I'm going to be back. And it will be with a vengeance.
And like Merritt, I struggled with suicidal depression for most of my childhood and teenage years and pretty much all of my adulthood, but to the point where I've been institutionalized. I can't buy a firearm in the state of California. I've had my brain shocked with electrotherapy. I've been on every drug and medication there is, and none of it really works. So if I can...
I'm gonna cry, bro.
Yeah, sorry. But the consistency of it, I use the 7 steps like at least 30 minutes, probably every single day for like a year, and that pretty much got rid of it. So it.
Before I let Eric go, I just want him to smile at you, and I want you to see how he smiles now. Can you see that? That's amazing.
And I've been taking Arnoux courses since 2012. And I could tell you lots of things I cleared. And I'm standing here going, which one do I share? Because there are many. And I do thank you for changing my life in so many ways. One of the ones that I cleared was I didn't talk to my brother for 8 years. And him and I used to be like this. We talked every day. I came to class and I cleared everything with him. And 3 months later, he called me. And we've been like this for the last 6 years. So it's amazing that I got my relationship back with my brother, which changed my life because I have a very small family and he's a big part of it. So it made a huge difference.
I used to have a lot of resentment towards several people in my life, you know, as we all have. Basically, I learned the 7 steps like 2 years ago. Did them, learned them on audios, and applied them on. And it just started working in days, you know. You don't have to wait years for it to happen. And now, well, I just feel very comfortable with people, with you know, the people that I was very uncomfortable with.
And I'm starting my own website and I was suffering from a lot of procrastination. And then, so I started using the technique 7 steps and 5 steps on it. And I'm glad to say, actually, I'm enjoying the things I was procrastinating about. And just the other day, literally like yesterday, I was thinking to myself, oh gosh, I'm so glad I tamed that beast. Because it was like, I feel it clearing things in my life that I was unconsciously procrastinating on. That I wasn't really in touch with it, and now I'm not. So I feel a lot better about it. And I'm glad to be able to say that yes, Arnoux tools will definitely serve me for today and tomorrow and for the next rest of my life.
First of all, thank you so much, because this course definitely already paid for itself for me in money, but you know, also I think I would have paid more than I mean, because, like, okay, so what's happening?
You're welcome to pay more. I don't mind.
Okay. Let's see.
It sounds like you're saying it's worth, your value that you got was way more than what you paid.
Oh yeah, the value was way more than what this course costs. Because, well, the venue thing happened. That's just one venue out of all the venues we played at, offering to pay us 3 times more than last year. That was just the second day. And then, let's see, I forgave my ex-girlfriend, and I looked her up on Facebook just to see how she was doing. And, you know, felt tons of compassion for her. So that's pretty big.
Kind of like blew the lid off of it for me in July. I kind of, and as you said this morning about the universe conspires, once you sign that contract and everything that comes up, and when we left the class, I ended up having something that's haunted me my whole life, which is my anger issues, and come up with the love of my life. We ended up splitting up, and I was devastated, but I had all these tools, and I had Arnoux, and like you, Scott, I took private lessons from him, private coaching, which truly changed my life. But now it's just amazing. I've worked at this anger my whole life. I've every book out there, so many counseling, everything just to try to get a handle on it. Never. And now the past, been about 3 months, that it's just been amazing. I don't feel that anger come up, and I put it to the test. Tomorrow will be 2 months and quit smoking. So that's really the dark thing. Put it to the test for me. But this time it's like I don't feel that anger. I don't feel that rage coming up that I did before. And about 5 weeks ago, I gave up the gun, which which I realized the first time in 42 years that I've been nicotine-free. And still have that, crawling out of your skin, but the anger's not with it. If not, it's just because I have the tools now to say, okay, what is this feeling? Where am I getting this? And to work it out and to stop it before it gets to that point where the ogre or Hulk or whatever you want to call it comes out. And it's just amazing, and thank you very much for inventing this.
And I did this course for the first time 1 year ago. And everything has changed. Every area has been improved so much. I have way more fun. I own a business, a yoga business, and I used to just be in fear. Financial stress was so just eating me alive. I was running it out of fear, and now I just never worry about it anymore. It's so amazing. I just really have cleared all anxiety about it. It's working so well, and it is because I'm not worried about it anymore. That's why it's working so much. All my fear was really stepping in the way of my business running smoothly. So that was really a big one. Thank you, Arnoux, so much. Other areas, with my husband, things are amazing.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yes, and it's a lot of times, it was just, he didn't even really have to change. All I did was change myself. I have a question. How many of you have children? Okay. And how many of you wish that they would act differently in some kind of ways, like anything, right? Pick up their clothes or clean up their room. Okay, so it's many of us, right? Well, something amazing happened last week. We had a bad month with my son, especially it was getting worse and worse. My son is 6 years old. Anger between us, sadness, just really a bad phase, and we had never gone through that before. The pregnancy was just making me so sensitive to all the noise that he was making when he was playing. Every movement was bugging me, giving me a headache. Like, I wish he could have just sit and not make any sound, not move. That would have been perfect. But of course, he can't do that. So there was so much build-up, resentment, sadness for him, because he could feel that I was not really wanting to be around him. And then my magical clearing partner, Liam, sitting in the back. So it's because I was really trying to find out what's wrong with him. Is it at school? Is it someone that's stressing him out? Why is he acting that way? And turns out all I had to change was the way that I was feeling about him. And the next day, he woke up and he was an angel, and he has been like that. It's continuing. It's like when I cleared the part of me that was so irritated by him, the next day, he was no longer irritating at all. It was just... So that was beautiful. So thank you again for that too, and for everything and all the things to come. It just keeps on getting better, and it will work for everyone in here.
My daughter-in-law traditionally doesn't like most of the things I say or do, and sometimes it bleeds over into the grandkids. They don't know which side to be on. So I decided to work on the whole family. And my son is remote and doesn't want to be called and blah, blah. So next morning, my son calls real early. Mom, I have something for you. Can you come by the warehouse? I love you. And then we made a plan because I have to call before I go over. And I went over and he said, oh, Michelle's on the warpath. She's been on a conference call all day. And I said, well, I just want to give her Valentine's present. I'm going to put it on the table. And she said, oh, come in, I'm already off my call. And I thought, who are you? And what have you done with my Michelle? So then my other two granddaughters called me that same day, too. That was, I think, the most profound thing that's happened.
I was able to be my real self in front of everybody, and that was amazing. I don't want much just want to cry.
It's okay to cry.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
It's unbelievable because what he's offering is your ability to fulfill your destiny, whatever that is.